Hi YouTube, my name is Mariah Choate. I'm a nationally certified school psychologist turned stay-at-home mom who has spent 12 years in public education. I'm here to tell you what districts won't when it comes to public education in America and to help you beat the overwhelm and the frustration. This video is all about how to request a person-centered IEP for your student or child using special education laws to make sure that you do it well. My future videos will be focused on frequent issues I've seen in the school setting and some tips on how to navigate those issues well while using special education law to ensure best practice. This channel is for parents of students with suspected or diagnosed disabilities, those who already have an IEP or individual education plan or program, or those who might need them. Also, teachers, counselors, other school psychologists, and other school psych interns who may be experiencing frustrations in their own schools. I hope this channel is helpful, and if it is for you, make sure to like this video and subscribe so that I can keep making content at no cost to you. First of all, if you feel like your child or student is behind in school, having consistent struggles socially, or even after being in school for a few months, still has escalating behaviors, this typically means that you as a parent are already in contact with your school, or you as a teacher are already in contact with parents. You've typically already discussed supports of what the school might call multidisciplinary system of support, that's MTSS, or response to intervention, RTI, for the student. So this is a fancy way of detailing out different ways that the school is attempting to meet the needs of the student in their current general education class. If you need more specific support on what that actually looks like and also what the eligibility criteria even is for knowing if a student would qualify for an IEP, make sure to click the link below this video and it's labeled IEP Guide. That is the link to my 74-page guide detailing out all of this and more. But for now, let's just imagine you've gone through this process and you're getting pushback from the school about support and communication, and now you want to see if your child or student qualifies for an IEP. We'll go step by step through a typical IEP request process. So this might look like something in writing along the lines of, I am concerned about my son or student. He struggles with speaking in loud noises. He is often overwhelmed. He runs away when upset. I don't know if he has autism, but I've discussed concerns about this diagnosis before. I want him assessed to see if he qualifies for an IEP, and if not an IEP, possibly a 504 plan. At the link below this video, you'll find a completely free template on how to request this and then submit it to your school. So, side note, I always encourage parents or teachers to include the person-centered approach to assessment in their written request. This is mainly because it helps focus the school on a holistic approach to understanding the needs of a child, not just simply looking at an IQ profile and saying, yeah, they qualify or no, they don't. So I may talk about this more in another video since it's not as common in the schools that I've seen, but we will save that for another day. All right, moving on to number 2. Make a phone call to the school and or email, and if they don't answer, leave a voicemail. Make sure to call after sending the email or sending in the letter to talk to someone, even if that's the principal, school psychologist. Just confirm receipt of the request and then mark that date down. So by law, the school has 15 days to respond to that request, meaning either setting up a meeting, like a student study team meeting or SST, or sending out the assessment plan to get permission to start testing. Number 3, if you're a parent, you sign the assessment plan. So make it a priority to sign the assessment plan as soon as you get it and also get a copy for yourself. The assessment plan is a form requesting your permission to test your child in many different areas, including academic achievement, health, intellectual development, speech and language, motor development, social emotional behavior, post-secondary transition, alternative means of assessment. That's mainly checked off, for example, when completing cognitive tests on an African American student in California, since standardized IQ testing is against the law. But basically, you just want the school to have permission to observe in all of those areas. Number 4, wait the allotted 60-day timeline. So I'm in California, so it'd be 60 days. In other states, like for example, Florida, I think is the longest. That's 90 days. Since SPED law details out that schools have a timeline to complete their assessment and determine eligibility for special education. So fill out and send in any and all information that is required for that assessment during this timeline. School psychologists will be working to gather information and observations from teachers, parents, and students themselves. During the timeline, the school psych might send home a health and development form, look at detailed history of the child, like health and development history, any diagnosis. They might send home rating scales, might ask the teacher to observe the child in the classroom and fill out rating scales. They'll also conduct informal interviews with teachers, parents, anyone who has concerns about the child. The school psychologist will also provide one-on-one testing for the child. So they'll meet with the child in their office. They'll provide different cognitive or skills tests to determine standardized scores, basically getting a cognitive profile of the child and their learning needs and seeing how their skills and abilities measure up compared to others their same age. A special education teacher will also be completing academic testing in a one-on-one setting and see how their academic skills and abilities measure up to others in their same age. I'll also do a separate caveat for teachers. So for teachers, making sure that you are reporting on every intervention that you have given, even if it's, allowing a fidget spinner for certain times throughout the day or allowing breaks or whatever accommodations, supports, leniencies, whatever that looks like in your classroom. I would document all of that and document a timeline of exactly how long that's been going on, how effective it's been or not effective, and making sure you submit that all to the school psychologist as well. Number 5, attend the initial IEP meeting. So once the assessment is complete, the IEP team, which includes the parent, school psychologist, principal, child's teacher, general education teacher, and special education teacher, and then any other service providers that completed assessments, you guys all meet together to discuss the child's assessment results. So in this meeting, you guys will each talk about your role in the meeting, present your observations and findings, and then tell whether or not the child meets eligibility criteria for an IEP or not. And why it's so important to know IDEA law and the eligibility criteria is because that's exactly how a school psychologist is going to determine whether a child meets eligibility or not. So there's basically a checklist. There's 13 different eligibility categories that a school psychologist will look through. And then the IEP team as a whole determines yes, eligible, or no, not eligible. So in the next video, I will be discussing how to not be so blindsided if your child or student happens to not qualify for an IEP in that initial meeting, and also how to respond if that's the case. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at holistically_psyched and make sure to snag my free written notice template in the link below to get your editable copy to request an IEP for your student or child. Thank you so much.